The morning came too early. The sky was still painted in faint pink, the air cold and still. Bilha woke up wrapped in one of Jaemin's oversized shirts, the smell of his cologne clinging to her skin. She blinked at the soft glow of sunlight sneaking through the curtains and smiled. He wasn't in bed. She stretched lazily, smiling to herself. Probably downstairs making gangster pancakes, she muttered, rolling out of bed. She tied her hair up, brushed her teeth and padded barefoot to the kitchen, but stopped mid-step. Jaemin stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, his tone sharp and low. No, they shouldn't have found her name. Move the shipment now. Anyone who talks dies. You understand? The words made her freeze. He hadn't noticed her yet. His posture was cold, commanding, nothing like the playful man she'd fallen asleep beside. She stepped back quietly, bumping into a stool. It fell with a loud clatter. He turned instantly, eyes wide. Bilha. She swallowed hard. What was that about? He sighed, putting the phone down. Work? Or the Mafia kind of work? Bilha, not now. She crossed her arms. If you're going to drag me into your world, I have a right to know what I'm standing in. He walked toward her, his voice calm but firm. You're standing in front of a man who's trying to protect you. That's all you need to know. Her eyes softened a little, but she still held her ground. Then at least let me help you, Jaemin. You can't keep carrying everything alone. He looked at her for a long time, then smiled faintly. You already help me. You make me laugh. Her lips curved. Well, someone has to keep your serious face from cracking. He chuckled, brushed her cheek with his fingers, and kissed her forehead. Eat something. I need to step out for a meeting. Meeting with Santa or the devil? She teased. He smirked. Both wear red. She threw a pillow at him as he left. 2 hours later, Bilha sat in the Penthouse's cozy living room watching a silly Korean variety show. She tried to focus on the jokes, but something felt off. Every few minutes, she'd glance at her phone. No message. No call. Finally, she texted, Bilha. Still alive, Mr. Secret Agent? No reply. Bilha. Blink twice if kidnapped. Still nothing. She sighed dramatically. If he dies before our second date, I'm haunting his ghost, she muttered. Then the elevator beeped. Her face lit up. About time. But it wasn't Jaemin. 3 men in black entered quietly, faces hidden under caps. Bilha froze. Hi? Wrong apartment. They didn't answer. One of them locked the door. Her heart thudded. Okay. That's not friendly. She reached for her phone on the table, but one of them grabbed her wrist. Let me go, she shouted, struggling. The man growled. You shouldn't have gotten close to him. That voice, she recognized it. It was the same tone she'd heard outside the cafe days ago. Who are you? She demanded. The ones cleaning up his mess, he said. Before she could scream again, another man slapped duct tape across her mouth. She kicked, elbowed, even bit one of them, and they cursed loudly. If there was one thing Bilha wasn't, it was weak. In the chaos, she grabbed a ceramic mug from the table and smashed it against one man's face. He staggered back, blood dripping. She used that second to run, barefoot, heart pounding, tearing through the hallway toward the emergency stairwell. Meanwhile, Jaemin was in his black car, racing through traffic. His phone buzzed, one of his men, breathless. Boss, they're at your place. They have her. Jaemin's heart stopped. What? He slammed his foot on the accelerator, weaving through the streets. His vision blurred with fury. If she's hurt, no one's walking out alive. Bilha sprinted down the stairwell, tears streaming from the fear and cold air. Her mind screamed run. 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 She burst into the parking lot, scanning for help. But the men were close behind, footsteps echoing. She ducked behind a parked car, trembling. Her phone buzzed. It had fallen out of her pocket during the chase. She crawled toward it, hands shaking. One of the men spotted her. Got you, he yelled. Before he could reach her, a gunshot cracked through the air. Bilha screamed, covering her head, but it wasn't her blood. The man who'd shouted fell to the ground. She looked up. Jaemin stood by his car, gun still smoking, fury in his eyes. He shouted, "Touch her again and I'll paint the floor with your bones." The other two men froze. They knew who he was and what he was capable of. But one still tried to grab Bilha as a shield. Bilha, in pure panic and bravery, bit his arm again hard and kicked him right where it hurt most. The man howled, collapsing. Jaemin ran to her, wrapping his arm around her tightly. "Are you okay?" She couldn't speak. She just clung to him, shaking. He kissed her forehead, whispering, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The police sirens blared in the distance. Someone must have heard the shots. Jaemin's men arrived too, sweeping the area clean before the authorities came. Back in the penthouse, Bilha sat wrapped in a blanket, sipping water. Her hands still trembled. Jaemin knelt before her, guilt written all over his face. She looked at him, eyes wet. "You said I was safe." "I know," he said softly. "I was wrong." She touched his cheek. "I almost died, Jaemin, because of your world." "I'll fix it," he whispered. "I'll end it." She gave a weak laugh. "End the Mafia? You talk like it's a Netflix show." He smiled sadly. "For you, I'd end anything." There was a long silence, just their breaths, hearts sinking back into calm. Then Bilha said quietly, "If you ever disappear without saying goodbye, I'll haunt your enemies and then come for you." He chuckled through his tears. "You're unbelievable. Santa didn't bless me with patience," she said, half smiling. Jaemin leaned in and kissed her, slow and deep, a promise in every touch. When they pulled apart, she whispered, "You better not die, Mafia Santa." He laughed softly. "Not when I've finally found my Christmas gift." Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, spilling light over Seoul. It was the first warm morning after weeks of cold, as if even the heavens sighed in relief. That Christmas miracle had turned into chaos. But as Bilha rested her head on his shoulder, she realized something strange. She wasn't afraid anymore, because somehow, in the middle of all the danger and madness, she'd fallen in love with the man who kissed her under the Christmas lights. And this time, she wasn't letting go. The next morning, Seoul woke up calm, but Bilha didn't. Her sleep was a blur of flashing lights, running feet, and the sound of Jaemin's gun. When she opened her eyes, she wasn't in his penthouse anymore. She sat up quickly. The room smelled of pine and soap. Pale wood floors, a small window showing the edge of a mountain road, the muffled hum of cars far below. Her mind spun. Where am I? Then the door opened. Jaemin stepped in, holding 2 steaming bowls of ramen. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes tired. But when he saw her awake, he smiled like she was the sunrise itself. "Good morning, Miss Kenya," he said softly. "Welcome to our very illegal vacation." Bilha blinked. "Vacation? Jaemin, this isn't a trip. It's an abduction with breakfast." He laughed, setting the bowls down. "You were asleep, and I needed to get you out before sunrise. The people who came last night had a tracker on one of their phones. I couldn't risk staying." "Where are we?" "An hour outside Seoul. My safe house. Nobody knows it exists." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "You have a safe house? Are you hearing yourself? You sound like the Korean James Bond." "Bond doesn't cook instant ramen for his woman," he said, offering her chopsticks. That line made her cheeks warm. She took them, muttering, "Flirting after a gunfight, bold move." They ate quietly for a while. The soup wasn't fancy, but it was warm, and the steam felt like comfort. Jaemin kept glancing at her, as if checking she was still real. When she caught him staring, she said, "If you keep looking at me like that, I'll start charging per gaze." He chuckled. "How much?" "1 kiss per look." "Then I'm in debt already," he said, leaning closer. She smacked his shoulder lightly. "Focus. We're fugitives. Remember?" He shrugged. "Then let's be cute fugitives." After breakfast, Bilha wandered through the cabin. It was small but cozy. A fireplace, shelves filled with books and weapons, which she pretended not to see, and a single picture frame of a teenage Jaemin smiling beside an old man. She picked it up. "Who's this?" He looked over from the sofa. "My father." He taught me everything about loyalty and mistakes. Where is he now? Gone, he said quietly. Killed when I was 20. That's how I ended up in this life. Bilha placed the frame down gently. The air between them grew heavier. She sat beside him, touching his hand. I'm sorry, he nodded, squeezing her fingers. You make it easier to breathe. You know that? She smiled faintly. And you make it impossible to relax. He laughed, the tension melting a little. Then he turned serious again. I want to leave this world, Bilha. I want to start something new. Maybe a business, something legal. But they won't let me go that easily. Then let's find a way, she said firmly. You helped me believe in love again. Let me help you believe in peace. He stared at her, amazed. You're not scared of me? Of you? No. You brought me ramen, not bullets. He grinned. You'd still find something to joke about if we were hiding in a cave. Of course, she said. I'd call it our honeymoon suite. That made him laugh so hard he almost dropped his coffee. They spent the rest of the day cleaning the place, trying to act normal. Bilha found an old radio and tuned into a Christmas playlist. If we're hiding, she said, we're hiding with style. Soon the cabin filled with cheerful music. She started dancing around with a mop, pretending it was a microphone. Santa, I've been good this year, except for kissing a Mafia boss. Jaemin burst out laughing. You're unbelievable. Come dance then, bossman. He shook his head, smiling. I don't dance. Then you'll learn, she said, pulling him up by his sleeve. He hesitated, then finally gave in. His steps were awkward at first, but Bilha guided him, teasing, see? Even gangsters can groove. He twirled her around clumsily, both of them laughing until they fell onto the sofa. The laughter faded slowly into quiet breathing. Their faces were close, too close. Jaemin brushed a curl from her cheek. You're dangerous, Bilha. How? You make me forget I'm supposed to be afraid. She smiled softly. Maybe that's the point. He kissed her then, deep, slow and warm, the kind of kiss that steals time itself. The world outside could burn, but inside that tiny cabin, only the two of them existed. When they finally broke apart, Bilha whispered, You taste like coffee and trouble. And you, he murmured, taste like everything I didn't know I needed. Night crept in. The lights of Seoul glowed faintly in the distance. Bilha sat by the window, wrapped in a blanket, watching snow begin to fall gently on the pine trees. Jaemin joined her, resting his head on her shoulder. They'll come for me again soon. Then we'll be ready, she said. He smiled. You talk like a fighter. I'm African, she replied. We survive storms and still make jokes about the thunder. He laughed softly, kissing the side of her head. You really are my Christmas miracle. Say that again when we're not hiding in the woods, she teased. I will, he promised. Every Christmas, every day after. Bilha looked at him, eyes glowing. You know what's crazy? What? I prayed for love that night, Jaemin. I didn't pray for safety or wealth or even a husband. Just love. And God sent you, messy, mysterious, dangerous you. But somehow it feels right. He cupped her face gently. Maybe Santa was drunk that night. Maybe, she giggled. But I'm not giving back the gift. He laughed quietly, pulling her close. The snow thickened outside, turning the whole mountain silver. Their laughter faded into quiet hums, and for a moment, the world was peaceful again. But peace never lasts forever. Around midnight, Jaemin's phone vibrated. He glanced at it, and his face hardened. Bilha, half asleep, mumbled. Who's texting you at this ungodly hour? Santa's HR. He didn't answer. His hand tightened around the phone. Another message came in. They found the cabin. Jaemin stood, heart racing. Bilha, wake up. She blinked, confused. What? What's wrong? They're coming. Her sleepiness vanished instantly. Again. Can't your enemies take a public holiday? He grabbed his gun and tossed her a coat. Stay behind me. No matter what happens, don't run into the woods. She looked up at him, fear flickering but her humor still alive. You know, I didn't pack for a gunfight. I was thinking more of a romantic getaway. He kissed her quickly, whispering, "You'll get both." Outside, headlights appeared in the distance. 4, maybe 5 cars winding up the road. Bilha's heart thudded. Jae-min. He turned to her, eyes steady. "I won't let them touch you. Not tonight. Not ever." And as he stepped toward the door, she grabbed his hand and said softly, "Whatever happens, we face it together." For a second, the whole world held its breath. The wind howled outside, snow glimmered like stars, and inside that cabin, 2 hearts beat as one, ready for whatever storm was coming next. The night outside the cabin was thick with warm air and crickets, the sky glowing amber from the faraway Seoul lights. The world felt too calm for what was coming. Inside, Bilha was pacing back and forth, her red Christmas skirt brushing her knees. Jae-min was checking his gun like a soldier preparing for battle. His expression was calm, dangerously calm. "Okay," Bilha said, hands on hips. "Before we dive into another round of your gangster drama, can I at least have dessert first?" He looked up, smirking. "You still have jokes?" "I cope with humor," she said. "It's cheaper than therapy." Jae-min chuckled, shaking his head, but his eyes flicked toward the window. Headlights were flashing through the trees. "Bilha," he said quietly. "Stay low." She froze, heart thudding. "Tell me that's Santa's delivery truck." "It's not," he murmured, loading his gun. "They found us." "Of course they did," she muttered. "Your enemies have better GPS than my Uber driver." Before he could respond, the first gunshot shattered the quiet. The glass of the small window exploded inward, scattering across the floor. Bilha screamed and ducked instinctively, her heart racing. Jae-min. He was already on the move, crouching low, returning fire with sharp, precise shots. "Stay down." Bilha crawled behind the kitchen counter, muttering, "I knew I should have prayed for peace instead of romance this year." Another gunshot echoed. Jae-min rolled toward her, eyes fierce. "You okay?" "Physically, yes," she said. "Emotionally? No. Spiritually. I need a refund." Despite the danger, he smirked, that familiar teasing grin that somehow made her feel braver. Outside, engines roared. Shadows moved between the trees, 4 men, maybe 5, closing in fast. Jae-min cursed under his breath. "They want me alive. You stay out of sight. Got it?" She snorted. "Excuse me? You think I came this far just to be background decoration? I'm your woman. If we're dying fashionably." He almost laughed. "You're crazy." "I'm Kenyan," she said. "We don't do boring." He wanted to argue, but then the door burst open and 2 men charged in. Without thinking, Bilha grabbed the nearest thing, a frying pan, and swung it with full strength. Clang. One went down instantly. Jae-min blinked. "Bilha, don't just stare. Shoot the other one," she yelled. He fired once. Silence. Bilha panted, hair sticking to her forehead. "I can't believe that worked." "You're officially part of the Mafia now," he said. "Great," she said, grabbing a pot lid as a shield. "Can I get dental insurance too?" More footsteps thundered outside. They both ducked behind the couch. Bilha peeked through the gap in the curtain. 3 more, heading for the front. Jae-min rolled his shoulders. "Stay here." "No," she looked him dead in the eyes. "You said we face it together." He paused, then nodded once. "Together." They burst out at the same time, him firing, her using the pan again. One attacker slipped on a spilled drink and crashed into the wall. Bilha shouted, "That's what you get for interrupting my Christmas date." The last rival lunged at Jae-min, tackling him to the floor. They fought fiercely, knocking over the table. Bilha panicked, grabbed the frying pan again, and hit the man square on the back of the head. He dropped instantly. Jae-min stared at her, breathing hard. "Remind me never to make you angry," she grinned. "I call it equal partnership." When the last engine finally faded into the night, the silence was deafening. The cabin was wrecked. Glass, broken chairs, bullet holes, but alive with the smell of gunpowder and the sound of their heavy breathing. Bilha collapsed onto the floor beside him. "If this is what dating you means, I need to upgrade my health insurance." Jaemin laughed softly, wiping blood from his lip. You did amazing. She looked around. We destroyed this place. He smiled faintly. We survived. That's enough. They sat there, catching their breath, the night breeze slipping through the broken window. Bilha leaned against him, exhausted but warm. You could have run, she said quietly. But you stayed. He looked at her, voice soft. I'd rather die next to you than live without you. She blinked, eyes glistening. You always say the most dangerous things so romantically. He smiled, tilting her chin up. Maybe love is the only thing I haven't ruined. She kissed him then, deep, slow, trembling from the adrenaline and emotion. When they broke apart, she whispered, You taste like danger and devotion. And you, he said, smiling faintly, taste like hope. They leaned into each other, breathing steady, the warm night wrapping them in peace. After a long silence, Bilha murmured, You know, I prayed for love this Christmas. I just didn't know God would deliver it with bullets. He chuckled, brushing her cheek. Next Christmas, I'll give you quiet. She smiled. Promise. Promise. Outside, the crickets sang again. The air was thick but calm. The lights of Seoul shimmered faintly below the hills. Inside, two people, reckless, bruised, in love, finally found their calm after the storm. And for the first time in a long time, Jaemin whispered, Maybe love is worth fighting for after all. Bilha smiled against his shoulder. We fought tonight, babe, and love won. Bilha woke up the next morning with her head on Jaemin's chest, her fingers tangled around his. The room smelled of pine wood and the faint trace of the spicy perfume he always wore. For a moment, the world was peaceful again. No gunshots, no rivals, no chaos. Just the steady beat of his heart beneath her ear. But when she sat up, she noticed the faint bruises on his arm and the deep cut near his shoulder. Jaemin, she gasped, running her fingers gently over his skin. He opened one sleepy eye. It's nothing, love. Just a scratch. Scratch? She scoffed. That's a gangster wound. You need stitches, not ego. He laughed weakly. You always know how to ruin a man's pride first thing in the morning. Good. You'll live longer. She wrapped his shoulder with a towel and pressed it tightly. Next time someone tries to fight you, remember I fight dirtier. Jaemin smirked. Oh, I remember. You threw hot chocolate at one of them last night. Mafia men still talking about the Christmas cocoa attack. Bilha burst out laughing. Well, it worked. He ran faster than a chicken seeing Sunday lunch. Their laughter echoed around the cabin. Warm, genuine, healing. Felt like life was returning after all the madness. Jaemin touched her cheek softly. You know, Bilha, I never thought I'd find someone who could turn danger into comedy. And I never thought I'd fall for a man who hides guns under his Christmas jacket. She teased. He sighed, serious now. I'm sorry you got dragged into my world. You didn't deserve any of it. She looked straight into his eyes. Listen, you stubborn man. I didn't find love to quit when things get hard. You're my Christmas blessing, bruises and all. So stop acting like I'm made of glass. He swallowed hard. You really mean that? Every word, she said, tightening the towel. Now sit still before I punch you for real. Jaemin chuckled, reaching out to pull her close. You're not scared of anything, are you? I'm scared of bad Wi-Fi, she said with a straight face. But gangsters? Please. He laughed so loudly that a small bird outside flew away. The rest of the day, they stayed inside the cabin, fixing the damage left from the night before. Bilha insisted on cooking lunch, which turned into a kitchen disaster. She burned the rice, dropped the frying pan twice, and still danced around with a wooden spoon singing, Santa blessed me with a mafia man who can't cook either. Jaemin just sat on the counter, watching her with that lazy smile he wore only for her. You know, I could order food instead of watching you destroy the kitchen. Order food and you sleep outside, she said. We suffer together here. They ended up eating slightly burnt noodles, laughing between every bite. Later that evening, they took a walk outside. The air was crisp. The city lights twinkled far away in the valley below, and the hum of night crickets filled the silence. Bilha wrapped her arms around him. Do you think the rivals will come back? She asked quietly. They won't, he replied, his voice calm but firm. Last night proved something. I'm not alone anymore, and that changes everything. She leaned her head on his shoulder. You mean you finally learned teamwork? He smiled. No, I learned that love is scarier than any bullet. Bilha chuckled softly. Then I'm glad I'm your weapon. He kissed her forehead gently. You're not my weapon, Bilha. You're my peace. They stood there, looking at the glowing city from their quiet hilltop cabin. Two people from different worlds, bruised but laughing, tired but deeply in love. Bilha sighed. You know, this wasn't how I imagined Christmas. Oh, he teased. What did you imagine? Hot chocolate, music, a man with dimples. Not a mafia boyfriend with bullet holes. Jaemin laughed. Dimples are overrated. She smiled mischievously. Then maybe I'll buy some fake ones and wear them next time. He leaned close, whispering, Don't you dare. You're perfect as you are. And when he kissed her this time, there was no fear, no chaos. Just warmth, laughter, and the feeling that somehow Christmas had finally delivered the love she prayed for. That night, before they slept, Bilha whispered in the dark, You know, Jaemin, I think Santa took his sweet time, but he finally got my message. He laughed softly. And what did you ask him for again? She smiled against his chest. A man who'd make me laugh until my ribs hurt. Jaemin's voice was deep and sleepy when he replied, Then I guess I'm your Christmas joke come true. Bilha giggled, wrapping her arms around him tighter. And just like that, the night that once echoed with danger ended in laughter. The kind of laughter that healed, the kind that promised forever. Seoul had returned to its rhythm. The streets were loud again, trains rushing, lights flickering, people chasing their dreams like the holiday had never happened. But somewhere above it all, far from the city's chaos, Bilha sat on Jaemin's rooftop, sipping hot chocolate and watching the skyline glow. It had been weeks since Christmas. That night of chaos, laughter, and miracles. So much had changed. The threats were gone, the cabin had been cleaned out, and Jaemin had started something new. A legal logistics company, quietly stepping away from his dangerous world. And Bilha? She was glowing, literally glowing. Maybe it was the city lights, maybe it was love, but her smile had a calmness to it now. The kind that came from finally being safe in someone's arms. She heard the door creak open behind her. Jaemin stepped out, wearing a black sweater and holding a small paper bag. His hair was a little messy, his eyes soft. You always sneak up on me, she said without turning. That's because you always look too beautiful to interrupt, he replied, sitting beside her. You're like peace with lipstick. She burst out laughing. Peace with lipstick? You need to copyright that. He smiled. Only if you wear it every day. She leaned her head on his shoulder, giggling. You're impossible. He handed her the bag. I got you something. She looked inside and froze. It was a small snow globe, not the cold kind, but one filled with tiny LED lights shaped like hearts. Inside it, a miniature figure of a woman in a red skirt stood next to a man in a Christmas jacket, holding hands. Her voice went soft. You made this. Had it made, he said quietly. I wanted you to remember that night. Not the danger, not the fear, but the moment you kissed a stranger and changed his whole life. She smiled, eyes glistening. You're going to make me cry. Then I'll kiss you before the tears fall, he said, turning her face toward his. Their lips met, slow, familiar, electric. It wasn't rushed or wild. It was gentle, the kind of kiss that says we made it. The wind swept around them, carrying the faint hum of the city below. But up there, time stopped. When they pulled apart, Bilha whispered, You know what's funny? What? I used to pray for love, and I thought I'd find it in flowers, candlelight, and romantic dinners. But instead, I found it in danger, ramen, and illegal getaways. He chuckled. So you're saying I ruined your fairy tale? She shook her head softly. No, you redefined it. He brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. And you taught me that love isn't quiet or safe. It's loud, chaotic, and still worth every risk. She laughed, resting her forehead against his. We sound like a K-drama gone rogue. Then let's never change the channel, he murmured. They stayed like that for a while. No words, just the hum of the city, the glow of the skyline, and their hearts beating in sync. When she finally spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. Jaemin. If we ever have another Christmas together, I don't want gifts. He raised an eyebrow. No gifts? Not even jewelry? No, she said, smiling. Just ramen. And you. He grinned. That's easy. You already have both. She looked at him, eyes full of emotion. I love you. He smiled. Not his usual smirk, but something deeper, something real. You're my piece with lipstick, Bilha. My miracle. My home. He kissed her again, and this time, the kiss lingered, full of warmth, gratitude, and everything they'd survived. The world below went on spinning, but up on that rooftop, two souls had found something timeless. When they finally pulled away, he whispered, Merry late Christmas, my miracle. She laughed softly. It's never too late for love. And as the city lights danced across their faces, they sat there wrapped in each other's warmth. No more running, no more fear. Just love that didn't need permission, proof, or perfection. It was the ending Bilha had prayed for all along. A love story that started with chaos and ended in peace. 1 year later, Seoul sparkled again. It was Christmas Eve. Exactly 1 year since the night Bilha had kissed a stranger under flashing lights and chaos. But this time, she wasn't rushing anywhere. She was curled up on the couch in their penthouse, wearing Jaemin's oversized hoodie, a cup of cocoa balanced carefully on her small round belly. Stop staring at me, she said with a playful glare. Jaemin, who was pretending to read a book but had been watching her for the past 10 minutes, grinned. I'm not staring, he said. I'm studying Santa's greatest work. She rolled her eyes, smiling. You mean me or the baby? Both, he replied smoothly. One's my miracle, and the other's my reward. Bilha burst out laughing. You're so dramatic, Jaemin. He set the book aside and walked over to her, gently touching her bump. You know, I still can't believe this is real. You, me, peace, and... He looked down, eyes softening. A tiny heartbeat that calls us mom and dad. She placed her hand over his. We've come far, haven't we? From shootouts to baby bottles, he teased. From ramen in a safe house to cocoa in a penthouse, she replied. I'd say Santa did a good job. He knelt down and kissed her belly softly. Hey little one, your mom's the bravest woman in the world. She once kissed a Mafia boss in public. Bilha laughed so hard she almost spilled her drink. You're never letting that go, are you? Never, he said proudly. That kiss changed everything. She looked down at him lovingly. You know, I prayed for love that night. I didn't ask for perfection, I just wanted something real. And God, or maybe Santa, sent me chaos, gunfire, and you. He chuckled, resting his head against her belly. Then I guess he knew what he was doing. They sat there quietly for a while, the city glowing outside the window. Somewhere below, carolers sang, lights twinkled, and laughter filled the air. Bilha whispered, This Christmas feels softer, maybe because my heart finally found a home. Jaemin smiled and kissed her hand. And I finally learned what peace feels like. Spoiler. It wears lipstick and laughs too much. She laughed, brushing his hair back. I love you, Jaemin. He stood, pulling her gently into his arms. I love you more, Mrs. Trouble. Excuse you, she said, pretending to be offended. I'm carrying your future trouble. They both laughed. The kind of laugh that fills a home, echoes through love, and promises forever. Outside, fireworks began to bloom over Seoul, coloring the night sky in shades of red and gold. Bilha leaned against him, her hand resting on her belly, eyes full of wonder. This is our Christmas miracle, she whispered. He nodded. And next year, we'll celebrate with 3 mugs of cocoa instead of 2. She smiled. Just promise one thing. Anything. No more gunfights. He laughed softly, kissing her forehead. Only diaper wars, my love. She giggled, snuggling closer as fireworks painted the sky brighter. And there, wrapped in warmth and laughter, Bilha realized she didn't just find love, she found forever.
Hello besties, in this sweet story we learned that love often comes in unexpected forms and life's greatest miracles arrive when you dare to take risk. Courage, laughter and kindness can transform danger into joy, and true love thrives when the hearts are brave enough to trust, forgive and embrace the unexpected. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.